I'm Ann Karrick, and now we're talking with Jeff Frez-Albecht, and you are music engineer extraordinaire at Brian Keane Music, amongst other things, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
And just a quick note, because Brian was supposed to be here, but obviously couldn't make it for some extenuating reasons. But Brian himself, Grammy and multi-Emmy award-winning composer. So we are going to talk about Brian a bit as well. But Jeff, thank you for being here to talk about the whole thing. 40 years as an engineer. We're talking music engineer.
31 years for me, 40 years that it has been in business.
Okay.
So I've only been with him for 30.
30. Oh, we're
Kind of, yeah.
all right. So give people a quick overview of you and your career before we jump into Brian.
Well, okay. As I said, I sort of fell into engineering, audio, music specifically, but audio in general. Trying to be a rock star like every young man wanted to be. Discovered that I didn't really have the talent for that and wasn't willing to put it into practice. But along the way, I had discovered recording my own music in my basement with a 4-track cassette recorder. And by a series of coincidence, Brian and I connected. He needed some work done at the studio that he was just building. He liked it enough to say, hey, I could use a guy to work with me. And so that's where that started.
You became that guy.
I became that guy.
So now that you're in that side of the business, do you still ever look at the performing side and wish you were that, or you actually prefer, you like both sides?
No.
Yeah.
This is
You don't want to be the one out on stage.
no.
No.
In the front of an audience as I want to be. This is enough. Thank you.
Okay. Well, no, I was just curious, because there's a lot of people in all sorts of related industries to music, radio, things, where they started that they wanted to be the musician, the singer, the performer, and they end up doing something else. And that you sound like you really love what you do.
I do. I truly do.
So
Yes.
So it's not no concerns about the fact that you did not become a rock star.
Not at all.
Excellent. Okay. Since Brian couldn't be here, let's talk a little bit about him. As I said, award-winning composer.
Yes. Yeah.
And you made some comments that I think what you wrote me was best known for deep knowledge and execution of historically accurate film scoring that not many other people can do.
That's correct. Yeah.
So
It's one of the things that he and I do that not many current composers can really pull off. And part of it comes from his background.
when you say they can't pull it off, is it they don't hear it or they don't do the work to be able to do it?
It's not a matter of hearing it. It's a matter of doing the work to really study instrumentation and be accurate.
It's appropriate for that time period.
I
That's set.
hear you. Exactly. The sort of audio reproduction that they would have had, which gets very technical, but it also gets very musical because there are certain ways that people play now that they would not have played back then. So it's also important to know that. Brian came from a jazz guitar background, started playing in a duo with Larry Coryell, did that for several years. When he wasn't on the road with Larry Coryell, he was doing jingles, recording radio and TV jingles down in New York. And he did a jingle about dental hygiene or something.
Something super exciting, yeah.
Really exciting and very, topical. The people who hired him to do that jingle happened to be in Florida when the Mariel boat lift was happening for Cuba. They put together a documentary about it, and I decided about the boat lift, decided they wanted music, and they said, who do we know that does music? The toothbrush guy.
That dental jingle guy,
What?
he's already at.
They call Brian. He scores that documentary. It's called Cuba in the Shadow of the Doubt. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Against Wind and Tide is what it's called. A Cuban Odyssey. Was nominated for an Academy Award. At which point Brian got the attention of HBO.
Sure.
And he did the chimpanzee documentary for Jane Goodall for HBO. At which point Rick Burns discovered him and hired him to do his, New York, which was the big documentary for PBS at the time.
Yeah.
That came out in 1999. After it aired, when the DVD, and I fact-checked this for myself, I didn't want to put you on the spot. But the documentary aired the same year that The Matrix came out. And they were both released on DVD at the same time. The New York documentary series was actually the second best-selling
No,
DVD behind The Matrix.
behind Matrix.
However, The Matrix was 2 hours and 15 minutes long. The New York documentary was 14 hours long. So
14
it
hours.
was pretty close.
That's a lot of.
That is a lot.
Listen up music to watch together.
I can tell you, yes.
Wow. So is one of those, would you say, you just mentioned so many different projects, which one of those kind of, propelled him sort of to, I'll call it fame, at least within the industry, to be well known that now people want him to be the one scoring their project?
That would have been a film for Henry Hinton called The Great Depression.
Okay.
And again, that was another series. I believe it was a 7-hour series, 6 or 7 hours, another VVS production. But that was when, again, and that was a very period demanding score. So he had to do a lot of period appropriate scoring, as well as these broad, beautiful themes to sort of encapsulate the whole series.
Well, and tell me, if you have 14 hours, 7 hours, anything, I mean, films are usually like 4 hours or less. So when you have these long amounts of time, do you have some sort of like a theme that you carry through the whole thing? And then, of course, different scenes or different stories within that documentary get their own flavor, but that same theme carries through the whole thing?
Exactly right. Yes. Okay. Like in the New York documentary, for instance, we had a theme for Alexander Hamilton. We had a Dutch theme for the early settlement. We had the what we called City of Dreams, which was the city, the New York series theme. All of those tunes were adapted throughout the series from 1609 to the first 12 hours of the series got up to the 1930s.
Right.
Then it aired. Everybody was happy with it. They were talking about continuing it. And then 9/11 happened in 2001. And that's where our 13 and 14 came from.
Yeah. Okay.
So they did from the 1930s up to 9/11 and sort of looking into the future.
Yeah. You kind of breezed right over this whole idea of how you make the music match the period. So tell us a little bit, like, what is that process? I mean, do you look back at history to see what kind of instruments were available?
Yes.
And then obviously you can't go back and listen to music from the 1700s. We're not a recording of that.
We don't. However, we have experts that we can call. For instance, when we were doing the
Like church has just studied it in great detail for that particular time period, that particular place in the world, that kind of thing.
And they play instruments that would have been played during that period. So we know a woman, Tina Chansey, who has an absolute encyclopedic knowledge of Renaissance and medieval music. And she plays something called a viola da gamba, which looks a lot like a cello, but it isn't.
Okay.
Okay? It's a very...
The only one that's harpsichord is a piano.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And she plays several other early stringed instruments from that period. And so we called her up and he said, Ada, do you know? And she actually gave us several Dutch folk tunes that we were able to adapt. And again, we were able to take this main theme of ours with that melody and have her play it in the style of the 1600s. And then arrange around it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is you're talking about that far back in history. Nobody knows if you're wrong either.
I suppose that's true.
I mean, if you're talking about something from the 1930s,
Right.
we know whether you're wrong, right? But if you're going way back to the 1700s,
Right.
nobody else knows either.
There was a ton of scholarly knowledge.
Yes.
And she spent, her in particular, only because, we know her so well. She spent years and years studying at master's PhDs in this type of music and studying the existing manuscripts.
So that's really when you talk about what's your process. That's, finding an expert of that time period sometimes, and who knows something about that music so that you can tie it all together. I mean, I assume the other part of that process is just coming up with music that matches the story that's being told.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. And very often a director will do what they call temp. They put in temporary music, and usually from some soundtrack that they already know and like. And they'll say, well, we want something that's going to give us this feeling.
Right. this is what we want to convey or evoke.
Right. So we're looking for, we're looking for a sense of sinister anticipation, and they pick a piece maybe from Tommy Newman or some other composer that's modern, and sometimes we'll do a knockoff, what we call a knockoff, which sounds a lot like the piece of music, but not actionable.
Okay.
Other times we can actually go to the director and say, this is just not right for this scene, we think, and here's why.
Yeah.
And
Do they usually listen to you?
they almost always listen to us. They don't always agree with us, however. And since they're writing the check,
They get to choose.
they get to choose, yeah. But we argue very strenuously. You feel it.
I feel like we could talk about this for a long time, and I wish we could play a music clip, but we don't have that capability here today.
Okay.
So where can somebody go to find out more about, BrianKeyMusic.com. Is there, do you have a different website for yourself, or you're part of that organization?
I'm part of that organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds good. I wish we could actually hear it, but
So I got a thumb trace. Got a thumb you.
okay. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you. We just scratched the surface, but
You really did.